She didn't knock. She didn't even bother to yell. Nope. Delora Quinn just blasted through my cabin door like she was starring in some low-budget cop movie, croquet mallet in hand, screaming at the top of her lungs, "Citizen's arrest. You're violating Code 12A." I'm sitting there in my bathrobe, spoonful of cereal, halfway to my mouth, trying to figure out if I'm awake or this is the world's weirdest breakfast dream when wood splinters start raining down all over the kitchen. She points at me with this dramatic shaky finger like she's just caught a war criminal shouting about unauthorized occupancy. Now my weekend guest, a quiet woman named Lauren, just sitting by the fire sipping her coffee, stands up, cool as ice, and says, "Ma'am, you just committed felony breaking and entering." What Delora didn't know, Lauren's a federal prosecutor, the real deal, and suddenly my morning's taken a hard left turn into the twilight zone. So here's me, Paul Denton, 42 tech consultant by day, introvert by disposition, proud owner of a crusty, half-forgotten lake cabin out at Misty Hollow Landing. That place was my refuge, the only spot in the world where I could breathe, let my mind go quiet, and just exist. You know, no neighbors, no meetings, no push notifications, just me, the lake, and the occasional deer wandering through my yard. All that peace shattered the moment the Misty Hollow HOA crowned Delora as Chief Compliance Officer. Yeah, she picked the title herself and insisted we use it. She wore this laminated badge like she was with the Secret Service and had a whistle she'd blow at anyone she thought was stepping out of line. She'd prowl around in a golf cart she'd modified with a siren and flashing lights, patrolling the streets like a mini tyrant with way too much time on her hands. It started small. The first time she showed up was because smoke was coming out of my chimney on a Wednesday. She stands on my porch, clipboard in hand, and deadpans "unauthorized heating exhaust detected. This requires immediate documentation." I try to explain, hey, fireplaces are legal, and she just slaps me with a citation for, get this, argumentative behavior toward HOA authority. That was just the start. Mailbox font violations, $50 a pop, because apparently my rural mailbox wasn't aesthetically uniform. She fined me for suspicious weekday occupancy like working from home was some kind of felony. My absolute favorite exterior smells suggestive of bacon grease, $75 for olfactory pollution. I mean, really, who makes this stuff up? She even tried to declare my cabin abandoned, said the absence of a seasonal flag was proof, and when that didn't stick, she plastered my window with a homemade condemned sticker, complete with glitter glue and crayon flames. You know you've reached a new level of bureaucratic crazy when your life turns into a scene from a preschool craft fair. I did what any reasonable person would do, tried to appeal, filled out her endless forms, showed up at an HOA meeting only to get tossed out for excessive use of logic. That's when I realized I needed backup. Enter Lauren Vega, old college buddy, and now federal prosecutor from D.C., who specializes in civil rights and abuse of authority. I figured if anyone could handle Delora, it'd be Lauren. Lauren rolled in on a Friday night, low-profile jeans and a Georgetown Law sweatshirt, blending right in. Saturday, we cataloged every ridiculous fine-snapped photos of the condemned sign and recorded Delora's patrols for evidence. I swear Delora must have been hiding in the bushes with binoculars, because the minute she saw Lauren arrive, she left me 3 increasingly unhinged voicemails. The last one was basically a hissed threat. "I know what you're doing, Denton. Harboring fugitives is a federal crime." Her network turned out to be a Facebook group with 7 people, 5 of whom were just her under fake names. Sunday dawns weirdly quiet, no golf cart sirens, no PA system blaring reminders about trash cans. Lauren and I are just enjoying our breakfast, when out of nowhere we hear this engine revving like a monster truck rally, and then, boom! The door explodes. Delora's in the room. Croquet mallet raised, wild-eyed and shrieking, "Citizen's arrest." I'm just sitting there in my robe cereal, floating sadly in a sea of milk, wondering what the penalty is for eating breakfast in your own house these days. Lauren stands up, calm as ever, pulls out her badge, and just drops the temperature in the room by about 20 degrees. "Ma'am, stop. You've just committed multiple felonies, breaking and entering, destruction of property, attempted false imprisonment. On what legal authority are you detaining this man?" Delora, still holding the mallet, insists HOA Article 12A authorizes immediate intervention for suspicious outsiders. Lauren gives her this look like, "Are you for real?" and says, "That's not a law. That's barely English. You've broken federal statutes." And Delora just snaps, screaming, "I am the law," in Misty Hollow, and tries to grab Lauren's phone. Lauren sidesteps and Delora barrels straight into the kitchen table, sending Fruit Loops orange juice and herself flying in every direction. She's flailing on the floor, shrieking about constitutional conspiracies covered in breakfast debris while Lauren calmly dials 911. This is Federal Prosecutor Lauren Vega, badge 4729. I need deputies at 1421 Lakeside Drive. We have a B plus an E with attempted false arrest. 20 minutes later, 2 county sheriffs arrive, taking in the splintered door and the glittery sign like they've seen it all, but I can tell even they're impressed. The senior deputy, old guy, cool as ice, just sighs and asks, "Ma'am, do you have any actual law enforcement authority?" Delora puffs up and says, "I am the duly elected chief compliance officer." The deputy nods, then deadpans. "And that gives you the right to break down doors." She tries to show her badge and starts ranting about lawful citizen's arrest. The younger deputy just laughs. "Ma'am, HOA rules don't supersede state law. What you did is breaking and entering." Lauren hands over her phone with video evidence, and the deputies take photos of the carnage bag, the sticker, and put Delora in cuffs. She's wailing about HOA sovereignty like she thinks CNN's about to show up. Word spreads like wildfire. By sundown, there's an emergency HOA meeting. Everyone piles into the community center, that beige little box that always smells like burned coffee and regret. The Vice President Harold is shaking so hard he can barely get his words out. "We're here to address the incident at Mr. Denton's cabin." One by one, residents stand and air their grievances. Old Mrs. Martin, who got fined for aggressively cheerful garden gnomes, the young couple ticketed for holding hands, the retired vet cited for flying an overly patriotic flag. When it's time to vote, it's unanimous. Delora's out 22-0 with 1 abstention from her husband, who actually left halfway through muttering about finally getting some peace. Of course, Delora's troubles are just beginning. The DA takes one look at Lauren's evidence and the mountain of neighbor complaints and decides to throw the book at her: breaking and entering, criminal trespass, vandalism, attempted false arrest, and assault. In court, Delora wears her HOA blazer and tries to explain Code 12A to the judge, who just bangs her gavel and says, "Miss Quinn, you're not being charged with HOA violations. You're being charged with real crimes. Do you understand the difference?" Her public defender looks like he'd rather eat glass than be there, whispering desperately while Delora keeps trying to assert jurisdiction. Lauren takes the stand, lays it all out with surgical precision. Every law broken, every constitutional right violated. And the fact that Delora tried to physically assault a federal prosecutor on video. The glittery condemned sticker becomes Exhibit A. And suddenly my life is Exhibit B in a courtroom circus. Judge orders a psychiatric eval, and surprise, turns out Delora's got major control issues, probably triggered by a taste of HOA power. In the end, she's convicted on all counts, sentenced to 2 years probation, 300 hours of community service helping elderly residents, mandatory anger management, and full restitution for my door plus emotional distress. When the judge says $12,000, Delora just stares purple-faced like she's about to faint. And that's how it ends, or maybe, that's just where the real story starts. The HOA got quieter, a little kinder, and nobody's door's been kicked in since, but the whole neighborhood still talks about the time Delora lost her mind over a bowl of cereal. Me. I finally fix my door, and sometimes I stand in my kitchen, look at that new lock, and just shake my head, wondering how close we all live to losing it for good. What about you? Where do you draw the line between order and overreach? Would you trust your HOA with that kind of power? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear your wildest neighborhood drama or your take on justice and community. Because believe me, sometimes the line between civic duty and personal crusade is just one glittery sticker away.